Welcome to the Psychic News Report. This is a featurette. Debbie from Tarot on Pause and I have been talking for the last couple of days about all the volcanic and earthquake activity. So we thought it was time for some psychic weather. Debbie, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fine. How about yourself?
I'm doing fantastic. Weather's been fine as can be up here in the Northeast. I know you're cooking down there in the
Yes,
Panhandle.
we're
Um,
baking. We're
but
baking.
but things aren't as hot as they are in Iceland.
No.
So Debbie reached out to me and said, "Hey, we've got to talk about these volcanoes." Debbie, why don't you tell them a little bit about what's going on in Italy? You did more research on Italy than I did. What did you come up with as far as like straightforward news? What's happening in Feglat? How do I say it?
Flaglieri. Campi
Fegleri.
Flaglieri. It is in the metropolitan area of Naples. Naples has got that one plus Vesuvius. It is a caldera, and which, if you don't know what a caldera is, that's when the volcano gets wider than its vent and it kind of implodes into itself. This caldera was formed between, they think, 39,000 and 15,000 years ago from eruptions. The last eruption was 39,000 years ago, and that caused a volcanic winter. And it was in a radius of about 60 miles, and it was pretty, pretty awesome. Pozzoli is the city that is west of Naples, and it's built right on the caldera. And they got hit last Wednesday with a 3.6 magnitude earthquake. So it's kind of freaked everybody out. And the what's interesting about this volcano is the last recorded eruption was September 29th, 1538. So it's been relatively, I guess they assumed it was, quiet. The scientists don't know what the volcano is going to do, and everybody's like yelling and screaming, typical, Italian wise, hey, screaming. And 30 million people live in the metropolitan area of Naples. So this is a big deal.
Absolutely. What makes it more concerning is that the Icelandic volcano near Grindavik in Iceland, that is actually spewing hot liquid lava, not
Oh,
magma.
goody. Yeah. Magma's when it's inside, and lava is when it comes out.
So it is spewing lava. And it's a very concerning situation because they have closed the Blue Lagoon hot springs. They did. That's a fairly large tourist area in Iceland. So they have evacuated everyone there, and also there's about 3,800 people in a small town just north of Grindavik that have also been evacuated. So that is some concern. That's a little bit alarming. The jets of eruption have reached a height of at least 50 meters, and the crater is about 1 kilometer long. So we're looking at very similar type of situation. I do believe that this Sund
Don't
Hunknar.
even. I'm not even going to attempt that
Volcano.
one.
I didn't study any of the Nordic languages.
No.
I do believe that the formation of the volcano is somewhat smaller, so it is kind of a pressure point. And the remote view that I did does lend to that. So what I will do is go to my notes. So what I did come up with I did controlled remote viewing on this, which is a coordinate remote control view. So we look at specific pinpoints of it. We have a specific path of pressure, a specific path of lava, steam, those kinds of things. And so what I did see is that what we can expect from this particular event is that we're going to see some activity on the surface with the lava spewing, with the pyrotechnics and dramatics that we're going to see. But there are tunnels to the south of the volcano. Oh, and I may have to bring up my card view for this so that everyone can see my remote view. Sorry about that. We're going to just bring that down here. So you can see where those arrows are in the lower right-hand side. There are some tunnels that feed into the volcano proper. And so what I'm seeing and what I'm remote viewing is that there's not so much water in those tunnels, but moisture that's creating steam that is going to create a collapse of this area up here, which is to the north of it, probably I would say in like the north third of the volcano itself. There's a void that's over here too. X marks the spot where this void is. Now, I do see the collapse of this whole area going into this area. I don't know if the void itself is going to collapse, but I do see that there's going to be a collapse. Once it does collapse, and I don't think this is imminent. I think this will happen over a series of days. I don't think, we need to be freaking out about it at the moment. But we're going to see a dramatic event before that happens. So what'll happen is we're having the event now with all the lava spewing into the air. What did it say? Up to 30 meters. And then we're going to see a spike in that activity and then a drop off. And that's when all of those tunnels start to fill with steam and some of the pressure is sucked back into the earth. So some of the magma pressure is kind of sucked back into the earth, or there's a voids that are being filled. I do see some of those tunnels filling with magma, not lava, because it would be inside. And then there's going to be a very dramatic we're going to sink down. Everything's going to sink down. That drop in the land mass is going to happen, and then we're going to see all of that kind of shoot back up, and then the event will be over. We'll see continued fall away of the lands there. I do think that what we're going to see at the end of this event is going to be a much larger open area where the volcano itself is going to take up more real estate. I don't know if that means that the evacuated folks are going to be displaced for an indefinite amount of time, but it does seem like they are poised to have a little bit of an event here. I think it's going to be pretty dramatic over the next few weeks. I think we're going to see, I was sensing a lot of temperature changes, a lot of hot and cold meeting each other. Cold is typically the rock formations. When they're underground, they do have some kind of refrigerator kind of type environment in there. And again, remote viewing, there's a lot of feeling that you get in this. You sense a lot of temperatures, a lot of pressures, but it's being met with this hot stuff that's going in and then heating up that water and creating steam, which is going to create some issues underground. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on this volcano. Deb, what did you get on the Italian volcano?
Well, this has been, Naples sits in just, it's probably the worst place to have a city. You have Vesuvius on one part, then you have this, which they're naming it a super volcano. It's sort of along the lines of what we have here in the States underneath Yellowstone. What, excuse me, what concerns me is that if one place is starting, usually before, from what I could gather, before an eruption, there's a boatload of earthquakes. And this has been going on. There's a cool site, and I think I told you about that one that shows the world, and it shows all the earthquakes that are taking place. And it's just Italy's just getting, or I should say southern Italy, where Naples is. It's worrying me because the authorities, well, the volcanologists are taking this very seriously. The politicians are not. And so there's a lot of, I've looked at some news channels, and there's a lot of yelling and screaming and it's I just worry that this is not like there's going to be like a domino effect, like other little earthquakes, or I should say, volcanoes are going to start going, rumbling. There is
Sure.
a hypothesis. I'm not sure. But they attribute. There's another site that I watch on sunspots. There's some hypothesis that the more sunspots also trigger these kind of things. So we've been um, we've been getting a lot of those, and I don't know. It just piqued my curiosity. I'm like, oh, this is interesting, and
I do think that I'll just pull the card view down just for now. I do think that the solar events that we're seeing, they do interfere with the magnetic poles and the
right,
magnetic fields on
exactly,
our planet. So
yes,
when that happens, we have to expect that iron core that we have here on our
right,
sweet little planet Earth, a big blue marble, we have to expect it to have some kind of a reaction to that. It only makes sense. Now, I do want to give a shout out. The Earth Master is the YouTube channel that Debbie was referring to before. It is fantastic. They have this
oh, it
amazing
is.
graphic of planet Earth, and I can actually share that. I will share it real quick so our viewers can
It is
check it
awesome.
out.
I'm hooked on that. I keep watching it every day. I need a
So
life.
yeah, well, yeah, you have this life. This is great. So this actually is showing you the different seismic activity on the planet at any given time. This is a live view, and the taller the event is, the larger the seismic event was. And they also have the running ticker on the side, so you can actually see the events themselves in
And
our.
they also in red are the tectonic plates. If you see
I,
the outline, I thought
thank
that was
you.
very cool.
Yeah, the tectonic plates is a super, super cool thing. And if you notice, I can actually put a stop. I'll pause it in just a second. If you look up, and there it
What
goes.
happened?
Well, I guess we have to keep it running. There's a tectonic plate that's running right under Europe, and it looks like we may have some scrapety activity going on there. Now, you can see we're coming around, and down below the United States, we're having some activity in South America as well, right along one of those tectonic plates. So, given the activity that we saw in New Jersey just a few weeks ago, where we had a fairly large event, fairly large and uncommon earthquake event. I did a remote view on that. I do feel that the
That's right.
one plate is sliding under the other. We're stuck on something a little bit tiny right now, and we're just kind of sitting there. But when those plates are sliding together, all it takes is one little pebble in the scope of the planet to kind of hold it up from blasting forward.
Right.
As it's sitting there, given the other pressures, it may build pressure, and then that's when we get those big earthquakes, because it'll cut loose and shoot out from underneath. So, Deb, let's take a look at some cards now. Or did you want to share anything else about your Italian volcano?
No, it's just because my grandmother was born in Naples, so I've always been never got a chance to go to Naples, so I've always been fascinated. And then, of course, Vesuvius, and then when they found the remains, when they excavated Pompeii, and they saw, it's fascinating to me. So I always kind of like to keep an eye on it. And then this one popped up, and I went, "Oh, interesting." Um,
Yeah.
and it's been asleep for a long time, and that's what's got me concerned.
Well, I'm going to pull some cards for your volcano. We got that King of Pentacles there. It's a Mac Daddy.
Can you pull up the card reader so I could it's a
Absolutely,
little
darling.
thank you.
There you go.
Yeah, anxiety. Yes. Ooh.
This one up here, should I stay or should I go
Or should I
now?
go?
Da, da, da,
Yeah.
da.
Yep.
So, yeah, this is a big one. Super volcano, yeah, it's not incorrectly named. Much like Vesuvius, I think this is a standalone volcano. I think it's going to cause a lot of issues here. What's your take on this Nine of Swords and the Death
That's
card
the one that
together?
just jumped. That's the one that just jumped out at me. Like there's so people are starting from last week. But they've had little earthquakes all along. I think this entire month, but that last one last Wednesday in Pizzoli is got everybody very upset, very anxious, worried. And some people can't afford to. Where do they go? It's so that's the one that jumped out at me very much so.
Yeah.
And it's yeah, it
The
just it just
that Knight of Swords in reverse is a little alarming too. That kind of feels like we're headed for something in
yeah.
the
And
south of Italy. It's going
what
to
do we've
be
got the
dramatic and life changing.
what do we've got the underlying energy, what is it?
That 8 of Cups, which is
Eight of
saying get out
Cups.
of Dodge. It
Yeah,
may not
there's
be.
another one. Yeah,
Uh,
it's very. Uh, if I was there, if I lived there, I would probably try to go. If I could do it, get out of that area because uh, I was worried before. This spread has made me very worried because it's gonna do something. There's so much pressure there, and that's what the earthquakes it's triggering. I don't see this thing just dying out, just kind of going, well, yeah, okay. It's like I had indigestion and I'm good. I just burped and I'm good. I don't see that.
yeah, yeah. So let's see about this Icelandic one. Let's see if Sister Sledge in the north is going to do the same thing.
Is that the same one that erupted a couple of years ago when they had to stop all air traffic and stuff?
I believe it's part of the same system. Oh, look at
Okay.
that. We had the King of Pentacles, and this is our Queen of Wands. What's our Queen of Wands? She's a fiery beast.
Yep. A lot of money on this spread.
Yeah, but we've got this Page of Swords and that King of Swords both in reverse, which tells me that I am likely correct on that loss of land, that
Yeah.
dropout. I think we're because the swords are always cutting. They're always cutting away and
Right.
taking things
Right.
away. You got a sword in reverse. I got two swords in reverse. So I think that our hole in the ground in Iceland is going to be a little bit bigger. Not ours. I'm in New Jersey, the land of
Yeah.
very rare earthquakes.
I don't want to. We have we have enough down here. I don't need
Yeah,
any
right?
volcanoes or earthquakes, please. Yeah,
So
no.
I think we're going to see a lot of this lava shooting up into the air. I think there's going to be some regret about not getting people out of there faster. And I
Yes.
think our King of Cups here, it's going to create something very different in that area. And this is very forward thinking. I think it is going to and volcanic ash will produce really good cropland over time. It does take some time for
Yes,
that.
it does. Yeah.
So I think we're going to see a very interesting long range outgrowth of this event in terms of agriculture and farming there. So that I think is a good thing, but it's not something that we're looking at right away. We are going to have that land loss. We are going to have kind of the bottom dropping out of the
Right.
earthquake, but they're going to, it just seems like Iceland kind of has their act together on this.
See,
They
I was just
really,
gonna say that. I was just gonna say that.
yeah,
They
I
are,
think,
yeah, they're more prepared. They think they don't oh, what's the term? They don't just react and panic. They've got this planned out. They know what to do. And they've been through it before.
very proactive, very
Yes.
positive kind of outlook on this. I think they're going to get the people out who need to get out, the ones that are going to be in the range of the activity. And I think they're
Right.
going to call the shots beforehand. Really, the main focus here, and I think it's going to be much easier to relocate these people because I think they have a lot more territory that is vacant around this earthquake or around the volcano. So I think it's much easier for them to move people. Whereas your Naples volcano is very
Well,
densely packed there. You know, it's
from what I could get, my Italian is a little rusty, but from what I could get, the people were angry because they have evacuation plans, but they're so old. From what the last eruption, or not eruption, earthquake in Pizzoli was 1984. I mean, a bad one that shook the area, and at that time there was only 3 million people there. So this latest one is really the people are upset, and there's a lot of the politicians don't want to upset the apple cart, and they're like, oh, we're okay, and the people are starting to panic, going, no, we're not. And it is the growth has increased, so there's a lot of people. So I don't feel as confident as I did with what's going on in Iceland.
yeah, yeah. It does feel a little densely packed down there for me.
Yeah.
I feel like there's going to be a lot of people that they will have to move very, very quickly, just because they're not really moving them now. Well, Deb, I think this is very interesting what we have covered here. I think we're going to have to stay on top of this topic. What do you say?
Oh yes, I love all this stuff, and it's just so well. I don't believe in coincidence, but you've had there's a lot of activity in space, sunspots, and all of a sudden all these things are popping up, and I'm like, it just fascinates me. I just love science.
Yeah, me too. Me too. So, especially the science of remote viewing.
I
Well,
know.
everyone, thank you so much for watching this featurette.
Yes,
Don't
thank you.
forget that we will be live tomorrow, Thursday at 1:15 New York time, and we'll be covering the live news. If there are developments on this event, we will bring you the up-to-date information. So, until then, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the future.
Future. Bye bye, everybody.